episode of I Missed Out. I'm author RG Long, and though I claim to be a nerd, there are a lot of things that I really should have experienced that for some reason or another, I just didn't. And even though I was born and launched into this perfect storm of worlds, I somehow missed out on all massive multiplayer online RPGs. And I mean all of them. So call me crazy, but I just did not get these. Which means even though I love video games, absolutely love video games, played the Super Nintendo, got a PlayStation 2, played these games, played games on computers, I loved video games. But for some reason, I just missed out on the massive multiplayer online RPG. It was not something that really snuck into my world. I had friends who played. I had a college roommate who played for hours on end, and I would watch him play, and I would understand what was going on in the mechanics of it. But I missed out. Now, I did play RuneScape. Maybe you remember RuneScape, a really blocky, outdated massive multiplayer online, and maybe that's why I kind of thought all these games were going to be like. And when I played RuneScape for the first little while, I just remember being so bored. All of the games that I wanted to play were story-based games. Sure, I could go off on side quests and do these little things like that, but when I was playing RuneScape, I just remember kind of feeling really flat. Why am I fishing again? Or why am I chopping wood or hunting these animals? The idea of leveling through these games just seemed really, really boring to me, and not something that I was really excited about. But as far as playing any other massive online multiplayer games, I missed out on them. And there were a lot. When I graduated high school in 2004, that was when the World of Warcraft came out. Okay? And I played all the Warcraft games, right? I even played the original Warcraft, the terrible, slow, blocky one. I played Warcraft, I played Warcraft 2, really enjoyed that one. I played Warcraft 3, and I thought that game was a blast. But World of Warcraft was just not a game I got into. Now, maybe it could be because I was a broke college student in 2004, and I didn't want to shell out, a couple bucks a month to play a video game. The idea of continually paying money to play a video game that, no, I was supposed to just buy this and play it. That was supposed to be it. That put me off in a huge way. Maybe I'm just cheap. I don't know, but I never got into World of Warcraft. Like I said, I watched my buddy play all the time, and he was really great. He was really good. He was his healer in his group, and he could heal people, which again, sounds fun to a certain group of people, but not to me. Now, I even missed out on Final Fantasy XI, and I consider myself a pretty big Final Fantasy guy. I love Final Fantasy games, and I played all the way up to 10. But something with it broke after 10. I never got into Final Fantasy 11. I just thought the online portion of it was not that exciting to me, and not something that I really wanted to get into. Again, I was thinking, man, story, Final Fantasy 9, great, adventure, Final Fantasy 7, and then I heard online multiplayer game, Final Fantasy 11, it faded for me. I wasn't there, and it's definitely something that I missed out on. But I also have missed out on all these new massive multiplayer games, even though I've got buddies telling me, Ronald, you really need to play Destiny. You would really enjoy it. We could play online with your PlayStation, and we could play. You know what? The idea is not super interesting to me. Maybe I'm broken, okay? Maybe I've got something wrong with me that just it clicked off as soon as the massive multiplayer online part came into my head. I'm not sure, but just something about this really just did not resonate me when they came into vogue, and there hasn't been one yet that has really captured my attention. Now, I will say, I did play this really weird one. mostly because it was free, and that was a big deal, but it was called MapleStory. And it was a side-scrolling massive multiplayer online game, which was why maybe it appealed to me a little bit, because it wasn't like this massive 3D adventure. And it was interesting. I played it, and I got my buddy who played World of Warcraft to come over and join me for a while, and we played together. But then he said, wait, I play World of Warcraft. Why am I playing this free-to-play game? I'm going back over to my thing. And maybe he was right, because it was a convoluted mess sometimes. It made sense. I enjoyed a little bit of the story, but maybe that's because like the story dove in really fast. But like I said here, my poor little computer in college could not handle this game, nor could the internet really handle me playing this game either. And so it was interesting. I enjoyed it, but I didn't keep up with it. It just wasn't something that I wanted to do day in and day out and day in and day out. I just felt like every day I wasn't playing, it was a day I was falling behind, whereas my trusty old saves on Final Fantasy VII, they were there waiting for me. I could get to that whenever I darn well pleased. So I missed out on massive multiplayer online games, and as a nerd who loves fantasy adventures and quests and things like that, maybe that just feels like something that I really did miss out on. What about you? Like, is that something that you missed out on? Did you play any massive multiplayer online RPGs? Do you have one that you might recommend to me? Man, I'd love to hear it, because there hasn't just been one yet that I've really sunk my teeth into, and maybe I haven't given it enough time. And it could be me. 100%. It could be me. But for some reason, I've just missed out on this trend entirely. Hey, share your thoughts and comments with me below. I'd love to hear. Tell me that, I'm missing out on something huge, a part of nerd and fantasy culture that I need to know about, and so need to play this game. Let me know. And if you're enjoying this channel and hearing about all these great things that I'm missing out on, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button for me. Subscribe to the channel so that I can continue to produce fantastic content for you guys and let you know what is going on in my fantasy adventure. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the journey.